I'm going to invite up John and Silvia. We're skipping over a song. John, if you'd like to come, and Silvia. When we totted up, we realised that the new project for this, Project 360, was going to need about £1.1 million. And Mark Armstrong was the church treasurer at the time of the fire. Then Silvia, you took over at quite a challenging time. Tell us a bit about that. We had some resources as a church, but not 1.1 million.
No, nowhere near it. I can remember that evening when I first became treasurer, the church passed us and said to send off, I think, £150 for the chapel case. And I went home and I said, the church don't realise how low we are on cash. How are we going to do this? I obeyed and sent it off, and it proved to me that God was in it, because within a week, the church I'd sent the money to, they sent more back to us because they'd had a gift day offering, and that proved it to me that God was there for us to do it. And there were different things. We had some farmland which we had, I think, about £100 a year.
Yeah, something
like that, which we shared with Lyme Regis. And we sold that, I think about 6,000 we got for that. And then we had the chapel site. We decided we would be able to sell that. And then, like, later on, after we'd gone away, we had the manse to sell, so that helped. And the insurance monies. And I think the total of all that was about 500,000. And so there was over 500,000 that we needed to get. We had a gift day, and that really shocked me, the amount of money that came from the members for that gift day. I can't remember the amount, but it really lifted my spirit. It was through God's love for us that the people gave. And some of them, I was so shocked. And I thought, how can they afford to give this?
That's it.
That it just confirmed to me again that we were doing the right thing.
And time and again, God just was providing. I remember when I first came, about 15 months before the fire, Mark Armstrong, the church secretary, said, we've been left a legacy by Sheila Munden. And I thought, that's nice, maybe £1,000. Someone once went by and he said, had word from the solicitor, it's going to be a significant gift. So I thought, maybe £10,000. And then when it actually came, it was £200,000 plus. And I said to the leadership team at the time, that is not just for our bank balance. That was for a purpose. And then shortly after, we had the fire. So many, many ways God was providing.
And some of the church members, we offered to lend money, like loan money, and that was covered, 5,000 in quite a few places. Church members loaned us £5,000, and Child Baptist Church offered to loan us £50,000 for a time. So, we were being supported left, right and centre and the Lord was guiding us. And what I was thrilled about, really, was that I was able to pay all those loans back. That was the last thing I did. Paid all those loans back to the church members and to Child Baptist Church, which, proves that God supplies the money.
That's it.
We don't have to worry.
And John, you took over at that point as church secretary, but it wasn't the end of the story, as it were, for the project. Do you want to say some more?
There's not really a lot to add there. The people who'd loaned the money did it as a sort of bridging loan, as it were. We also had a big loan from the Baptist Building Fund, and this was just to tide us over while the manse was being sold and while the site on which the old chapel was being sold. And if you go there today, you'll see two very nice houses built on the old site. So we'd sold off what there was, and that's what was used to put in the kitty to pay for this place, the 1.1 million that was needed here, and also to leave a bit over in what was called the manse fund to provide for a future manse for needs for a pastor, because by this time Darrell had moved out of the manse, and we had a manse which for a time was empty and for a short time was being let out. But we would at some point need a manse, probably for a new pastor. So we had some money left over after providing for this 1.1 million to go into a new manse fund.
Thank you. So at the time, I think it was about £40,000, and today the members will be considering actually buying a manse with with that money and borrowing some more, because the story goes on. We now have an associate minister. We now need a manse for the continuing ministry in the church, and every year, this year, we will require £107,000 plus just to do the ministry of the church, to take the opportunities that are out there. People who do not know Jesus, people who are moving towards faith, and people who need building up in their faith. That works out to nearly £9,000 a month, or £300 a day. You know, being church, doing God's work, can't be run on a shoestring. It's a significant amount. And I know you give very generously, you have given generously. Go on doing so, because loose change from our pocket will not keep God's work going on as we sense he wants us to do. So what we have now today is the legacy of what you have managed to do, but we want to go on doing it and reaching out further and further with God's word, because we know we've been called to be a beacon for Jesus. So thank you again for your share.